how you have blessed Wetumpka. We ask you to continue to pour your blessings out upon us. Make us strong, make us whole, Father. And Father, we just ask you to give us guidance and the strength as we go through day to day. In Christ's name we ask. Amen. In the work session this evening, there is a request for some discussion on some items from Councilman Gill. So, if you will, at this time, one of the requests for information is what is the status of the street paving project on South of Popiola Street? And it says we were told it would commence in June of this year. Mr. Greer is, that comes through Public Works. And we have had 2 or 3 projects on the board for paving. And I would like to ask Mr. Greer to speak to this. And then we also have the county engineer here, Richard Byers, that can speak to this also. Mr. Greer?
Thank you, Mayor. The question was, when are we going to commence? And when we said earlier that June, it was a June, July possibility. That was what Mr. Byer was anticipating. Of course, he couldn't set an exact date on it. And thankfully, the county worked with us on this to get this project going, and it was a great savings to us, and we appreciate that very much. I want that to be known at this time. There were 3 projects involved, one being Shakula, the other was Gossam, and Popiola and South Pine. They have they finished these other 2, and Mr. Byer is waiting really on his contractor to come back to get started on these 2 streets down in the left. At this point, that's about all I can tell you. I'm thinking last time that I didn't talk to him this afternoon about it, but last time we talked, it was sometime in the middle of this month that he thought they might be able to get on and get started. They contacted us recently and asked us to go in and trim limbs where the machinery could go in, the equipment. We've gotten that done, so we're waiting. They're waiting on the contractor, and we're waiting on that.
So there's actually more than one street south of Popiola. It's not the only street that
No,
we're taking care of.
they're doing part of it down to the turn in Ufakuchi, and then we are doing 2 sections on South Pine. There was a new section kind of in the middle of South Pine that was paved when the redevelopment was done over there several years ago. So we'll pave on the south end of that and on the north end of that.
And it's my understanding that the partnership with the county in doing this, and we've partnered with the county, like when we did Eel Street over here and some other things that we've done, it takes us out of the bid process, is that correct? And allows us to deal directly with them, and we get probably twice the amount of paving that we would get for the dollar. Is that
It's
correct?
considerable savings, yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Byers, Richard, would you speak to me?
Yes, Mayor, Council, it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight, and I'm glad you let Tex go first. I didn't have to try to pronounce the name of the streets. We did have a partnership not only with Wetumpka, but all of our 8 municipalities, and on one occasion or another, we had worked with municipalities to partner our annual contracts, which we bid out in the August, September timeframe of before each fiscal year, to accomplish pavement and microsurfacing. So the projects that y'all talked about, the first 2 that were completed were actually microsurfacing projects. Shakula required very little work. It was able to be done in the FY15 budget time frame for us. I think he got finished early FY16. Got some switch, required a lot of prep work, and then was gonna get microsurfaced, and we completed that in the early part of July, which is when the contractor was able to come in. And then the other 3 streets are all in asphalt. They're all gonna be milled out. And asphalt contractors are low bid on that this year. And they anticipate being in about the 3rd week in August. If they can get their milling crew in, they're gonna try to get in the mill the week prior. So we could possibly see some milling in the next week and a half or so. They don't wanna mill too far in advance and leave it exposed to traffic, and people complain about getting the blunt ends, things like that. But I think one important thing to understand about the way we did is we give our contractors a lot of flexibility in terms of getting in and doing the work. We don't put a lot of time restrictions on them, and there's a reason for that, because we see a lot better pricing when we do that. Because what they do is when they're bidding outdot work or big projects in some of these other cities, say the city of Montgomery, and they get these big contracts where they've got definitive times to finish them, they use our work to kind of fill in those gaps, keep their crews busy. And it has resulted in a lot of cost savings for the county and for our cities that have been able to piggyback off our contracts. We do all the bidding, we do all the administration. Y'all see none of that in your pricing. You strictly get what the contractor charges us for paving and striping. And I think that's a real key for our partnership. So y'all don't have to use our contracts. You don't have to use us. We got plenty of things going on. I mean, if you choose to go your own route, I think the last 3 roads that are in this package all combined exceed $50,000, which means you have to follow the public works law. And y'all are probably familiar with that, but for the councilmen who aren't, you got to do a lot of advertising, a lot of documentation for that, and on the front end and the back end. And so, that's something to keep in mind as well. That's why a lot of the cities use us and partner with us, because through that partnership, you don't have to go through that bid process when we already have that in place. The auditors have found that to be very effective, and they've approved of that. So, other than that, the only other thing that controls us is weather. So, when I say the 3rd week in August is when they're anticipating being here, that's assuming they don't get rained out on all their other jobs. And I'm very careful about saying that about the weather, because it doesn't matter how we get quoted. It seems like somebody goes with a low number every time. And case in point, some bridge projects that we've had going on of late where nobody really paid attention to all those elements. So that's what we're being told as of this morning, was the latest update from asphalt contractors, what they're getting. That work?
That works. Any questions, Mr. Byers?
Can I say something?
Yes.
Rich, I appreciate all the work that we do with the county and what you do. I think you're one of the most respected engineers in the state, from what I hear. You've been a great asset to the Elmore County and to the city of Wetumpka. We want to let you know that we appreciate what you do, and the county commissioners, what they do. And we want to work together.
And I'll pass that on to the commission. Thank you.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So can you tell me the anticipated from the time that you start, what would be the anticipated completion time from the time the project starts to the completion? Do you have a rough idea from the million?
For that amount of work, you're talking a couple weeks to finish it.
How would that inconvenience the people who live on that street? How would that be handled in terms of traffic?
Typically, they close one lane of traffic off, so they use traffic control to be able to handle that, where people are stopped to get in one lane and go through. Now, they can't park out on the street, things like that. That'll be an inconvenience. But typically, the contractors work and try to give heads up to the citizens that live there, have vehicles parked. In some cases, they have to get with the police department to help locate owners and things like that. But typically, it's no different than any other paving job that goes on. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Item 2 that was on the list is, what is the scheduled completion date for the Little League football field at the Dr. MLK Junior Rec and Multicultural Center? Mr. Greer?
Mayor and Council, I really can only give you a projection, an anticipation. We don't have 2 bids let yet, or 1 bid and 1 contract, rather. Once, we finished, the county is working with us to do this field also. And once we finish the dirt work, when they finish the dirt work, we're anticipating bidding, the irrigation, the grass or sod, and, the, fencing for the field, as well as lighting. The, sod, irrigation, and fencing will be, possibly in one, or at least the laser grading, which will have to be done after they finish, and the irrigation and grass can be in one, and then, we'll have fence in one, and then, the lighting will be, through Musco Lighting most probably. That will be a U.S. Communities type thing where you don't have to bid. We're hoping at this time. I anticipate, the county being through with this in about 3 weeks at the rate they're working now. And, then we'll have a 4-week, bid process on the irrigation, grass, and the laser grading. At that point, the contract then will dictate where we go from there, how many days within the contract. We're hoping to be able to get the lighting, and all the items I mentioned, the other started at the same time. So we're just putting the wiring in the ground and all that for the lighting at the same time we're doing the other items, along with a concession stand, which will have to be bid. And it can be going on at the same time with the other projects. And we're gonna be back to everybody involved pretty soon to decide exactly where we want to locate the concession stand.
But out of this, there's some soccer fields being built also that can be used. The football field could have 3 full regulation soccer fields, playing crossways on it.
That's correct.
And then possibly other soccer fields where the big pile of dirt has been, that they're moving all of that.
One other soccer field, possibly a regulation, older age soccer field. I don't know what age it changes, 12, I think it is, but wherever it changes, it'll be a regulation, big soccer field, if we have enough dirt over there to bring that up to where we can do that. We'll be working on that. The football field, we'll have 3 soccer fields crossways for the younger age groups. They can be played simultaneously on that field. And that's one thing that took a little longer. The field is considerably longer because of being able to put the 3 soccer fields.
Now, in this process, again, that the county has worked in moving all of this dirt to build this field up to make it usable. And they have been working on Fridays and Saturdays
That's correct.
to do this when the weather permitted them to do this. So you have, the city being an in-house deal that you're doing, the city has rented the equipment, and the trucks belong to
Yeah.
the county, and the drivers and the workers belong to the county.
Yes.
So that's how we're stretching the monies to make this project happen. Okay, let me ask one other question. I don't see, I know it's not in 2, but there was a reference somewhere recently that we had $645,000, I think, or $625,000 when we began this project, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, we had a little more than that when we began. We're at the point right now, we have, you may have a copy of what I have.
624.
Each one of you have.
Yes.
You see the rough balance. Due to the obligations, that we hadn't finished yet, being the build out, the HVAC, the match on the pedestrian bridge, and, Denny's. So, that 624 is real close to what we have at this point And we're not quite, half through. You notice, see, we don't have the, it's a 20,709.
That was the difference from the April numbers that y'all had, the 645 and the 624.
Was the payment to the county out of this?
Yes, it's already reflected, that's why it's
So
lower.
we'll have, probably 2/3 more, I'm guessing, county payment than what we made. And then this will be pretty accurate here. And we should be 590, something like that, once we, pay for the move of the dirt.
But then that's looking at irrigation, that's looking at sod, that's looking at lighting and concessions. Okay, any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll catch it first. Just a couple of things. So in other words, this football field, the days on, rather than being, the way I understand, rather than being 120 yards long, it's like 160. And that way that can have 3 soccer fields across from it. Now, you were talking about putting in grass. Of course, I would suppose there's not going to be any football played on it. The first people that will probably play on it will be soccer. Because it's probably going to be too late for football this year.
Well, it would be, and there have been provisions made. I think you have worked with the football league, and soccer can remain where they are right now until these fields are prepared. But football will move to the old
Baseball field.
baseball fields.
Coach
Light-
Dixon has worked with them on that also.
The coaches
Getting
were,
that laid
the
out.
lighting has been disconnected over there because it was in bad shape. But we have found a way of using, when football starts, they won't need lights, okay? But as they get further into the season, we'll have to have some temporary lighting that we can supply to light up the fields for them, because in practices we go over into the dark time. And, but that's been already worked out with the league.
That's right.
But more than likely, it'll be soccer that starts.
But I don't know the scheduling, Coach Dixon can tell you the scheduling. I have no idea of the scheduling. I know we won't have the field ready to play football, I can tell you that, fall.
And we do play football with 4 different teams, and if they have actual games there with our cheerleaders, are we confident that we'll have enough parking? How many parking places do we
No,
have?
sir, you won't ever have enough parking. I don't care if you bulldoze city down and, use your own parking lot. You'll never have enough parking.
I probably have seen
We've,
I have a bunch of parking.
I know you've seen, the conceptual somewhere, with horseshoe around that lower field, with the parking. I think we looked at, just from memory, I believe 220 spaces. And then we got parking coming, you're gonna be able to come from the,
outfield of the baseball.
right. And in between those fields, we'll have an overflow parking there. Between that tree line and that ditch, where the big field is, on the new complex.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mr. Greer, I certainly appreciate you guys stepping in to address the projects that we have. But Mayor, this is my fundamental concern. On February 15th, the city entered an agreement with CPM for the Wetumpka Sports Complex and the MLK Center. Per their agreement, they had 13 months to complete the projects, including improvements at the MLK Center, which was to include a little league football field, which is on CPM's sketch that they presented to the city. My question is, why did CPM not complete this project? And why is the city taking on something that CPM should have done, which we clearly have a signed contract and agreement that says they will be responsible for that? So I don't understand why the city or county or whoever's having a joint venture now can take on these projects when clearly we signed a contract with CPM to include that. And furthermore, I spent about a week with those guys walking the MLK project, letting them know what the needs were of the MLK Center in conjunction with the new sports complex, which I thought we had a thorough understanding of what was going to be taking place. However, what got completed was some baseball fields. The MLK Center, we're still working. So clearly the kids won't be playing football in that field this year, I don't think. But someone breached the contract somewhere, something happened, whether it was an error on the city's part or on CPM's part. That's the crux of the matter that I want to address tonight.
Okay, and this has been brought up before, and it's been discussed before. David, our city planner, which one of you wants to present?
Well, I can talk about it.
Okay, would you stand up and talk to me?
When you approved the contract with CPM, it was for 13 months. And basically what their job was for to supervise the coordination of the activities involved in the project. However, the actual contract with CPM did not have any scope of work. It just had listed things they were going to do as far as coordinating on behalf of the city.
Okay, so how did the baseball complex get put in?
Because with the contract with GMC was the one that actually designed the
So
baseball.
CPM oversaw the scope of work. Clearly, that's what it said in the contract. So someone, and I'm a pretty good reader, someone breached their duties.
Well,
And clearly, I can read this word for word if I need to, but there's been a breakdown somewhere. So the bottom line is there's no work completed by CPM other than what I see here is some site work or,
yeah, they weren't responsible for the design of the project or the construction.
so what was CPM's job?
They were just to coordinate, be the city's representative with coordinating with these different other entities as far as getting the design or whatever done.
So why was there no coordination with the sports, with the football field on the MLK side? I'm trying to understand how.
I'm not sure why.
How did they have direction to complete the baseball fields, but no direction to complete the football field on the MLK side? That's where I'm lost. And clearly this verbiage says that you're right. They were to oversee this. They were responsible for, in fact, let me read exactly what it says. The city engages CPM to perform on representation services as agent for the city in general performance, which proposed date of January 24, 2013. The time frame for this performance of this such agreement is 13 months. This assumes prompt assistance as reasonable requested by CPM. I'm getting to that. So it gets into the cost. But the meat of it is, during the construction phase, CPM will represent the city at the project meetings, discharge assist city personnel in charge of owner responsibility and appropriate. The city will review and assist CPM with fixtures, furnishings, etc., purchasing and scheduling delivery of installation. During the closeout phase, CPM will assist city personnel with contractor projects, closeout, whatever. But how is it that CPM was able to oversee the project for the baseball field? And clearly the MLK Center was included in this contract, which was signed and initialed by Mayor J. Willis and Tim Cole.
It was a 13-month contract, but if you remember right, there was a lot of delays in letting the work be done over at the sports complex. I think the design was done by Goodman Mills and Kaywood. They have, we have the map that's attached to that contract as far as what the phase 2. And it was, that part of it was just baseball fields. Now, they did a conceptual for you for that, but I don't know that there was ever any design done for that project.
So why not? That is the question. Why not? That's what they were charged with.
I think they just run out of time, because the project went way over the 13 months.
Well,
And their
clearly-
contract had actually expired, and they did not come back to be renewed. So, if you remember, even the sports complex was not completed as initially, the time frame in which it was initially envisioned. But I think when it came down to it, CPM just ran out of time. They could come back and ask for, extension of the contract, but the council was not approached about that, to my knowledge.
Well, it actually states in their contract that if, let me get back to that.
It would be so much per hour if we continued with them after that.
So the bottom line is CPM someone did not complete their duties. So whether that was on CPM or the city, we need to figure out what happened, why that happened. Because clearly what I'm looking at is what I said in the very beginning when we talked about this, in which I go back to the actual meeting, the minutes, when Councilman Gant offered the motion to enter into the professional services agreement with CPM, the service for the sports complex. The motion was seconded by Councilman Thornton. Upon discussion and agreement of the second, the motion was withdrawn by Councilmember Gann. Councilmember Gill, myself, offered a motion to include the professional service agreement to include the Dr. Martin Luther King Sports Complex as attached in the permanent minutes. The motion was seconded by Councilmember Gann, and the council voted unanimously. And there was detailed discussion that night about why I felt that the MLK Center needs to be included in that project. To me, apparently, I was on board because it was a unanimous vote. However, there's still, today, there's no completion of anything at the MLK Center.
Well,
And so to say, to point it and say, hey, it's CPM's fault, well, CPM had to get their directions from someone, not me.
well, I didn't say it was CPM's fault.
You said they ran out of time.
I think they did run out of time. I think things took a lot longer as far as the sports complex was concerned, and at that time, that's what GMC was working on, was the sports complex. So even before that contract was finalized, CPM their contract had already expired. So the closeout didn't even occur during the time that CPM was working for the city.
So, Mr. Attorney, I'm sorry, who's reliable, who's responsible for this situation that we're in? Who's responsible for this?
I have no clue who's responsible for that. I wasn't actively involved in any of the meetings between CPM and the engineers that were designing the project. The only thing I know as far as the MLK concerned was the conceptual that was presented to you, I believe, and the council by CPM. I don't know that there was ever any design specifications or anything else done to move that forward with the MLK.
So was that intentional?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, who would intentionally do that when we're trying to, get this thing done? And since then, I think the city has proceeded with that project. I mean, they hired Larry Jarvis to do this design work. They also got another plan done by GMC when they discovered that there was a problem out there with the ditches and the possible mediation being needed for the wetlands. That was part of the problem. And then we talked about the splash pad, and so there wasn't any finalized design for that. There were some other things that you wanted to get done out there, but there was a lot of conceptual, but I don't think there was any engineering other than the engineering for the football field that was done by Larry Jarvis, and that the city has proceeded with trying to get that part of the project completed. They're still up in the air as to what other things we're going to put on that site. I think, we're talking about the splash pad, but once again, that's not been designed. The city hasn't hired an expert to assist them in coming up with a design for that, to my knowledge. So it's been an ongoing thing that the city has been trying to do in-house. We're down to $600,000 remaining in the budget.
That is the fundamental problem, and let me be very clear. When we pursued the warranty deed, when we pursued the bond for this project, and we've had extensive conversation, myself and the mayor, myself and the council members, so this is not new in terms of what was expected to be built at the MLK Center, in terms of football field. In fact, I actually basically made a concession with the so we talked about a swimming pool, so I was okay with a splash pad from, I believe, the liability purpose. But when we pursued the bond, clearly here's a copy of the warranty deed, and I will read this section. It says, the Series 2013A warranty issued for the purpose of providing funds to currently refund a portion of the city's outstanding warranty obligations. Series 2005 dated May 1st, 2005. Series 2005 on or about September 21st, 2013. Currently refund a portion of the city's outstanding general obligation warrants. Series 2008 dated April 1st, 2008. The Series 2008 warranty on or about September 21st, 2013 currently refunds the entire $1 million line of credit with Prime South Bank acquired to construct certain capital improvements to consist of building and relocating additional athletic fields at the municipal sports complex, updating and improving the Dr. Martin Luther King Recreation Center and the Riverwalk. So clearly this conversation is not new. There's been conversations about what we should have. My understanding was CPM has the responsibility of leading and guiding Goodwin Milton K. Wood or whatever engineering firm that was selected to do these projects. CPM apparently did not perform that duty. So CPM certainly wouldn't just go out on their own and tell someone to do or not to do without some type of instruction from someone. And the only person who's authorized to give that instruction would be the mayor.
Wait a minute, no. Because the mayor can't go give anyone the instruction, the council tells the mayor what he can do. The mayor cannot spend money that has been, that
I wish
hasn't
it did happen.
hold on.
I wish it did happen.
You referenced me, that if the council has to approve any monies that are spent, I cannot go out and just start spending money. It has to be a vote of the council.
I never said spending
Even
money.
if there is a grant,
I never said
you know,
spending
we
money.
have to come back to the council if there is a match for that grant.
I never
To
said.
get the grant to match. So to say the mayor has authority to go enter into a project, stop a project, begin a project, you cannot do it. That comes as a vote of the council. And I think if you will go back and look at all of the records in the 4 years that you have been here, it's been a vote of the council. It's been a vote of the council each time. So I don't know, but anyhow, the way from what you're saying, and you're talking about building something, nothing can be built until it's designed.
So, Mayor,
So
whose responsibility
whatever
was
it's
it
going to be, the design has to be done, and it cannot be built off of a conception.
So how can a design happen for the baseball field, but no design happen for the football field on the end of the game?
Because when the project was entered into with this council, when the bond market was approached to complete the baseball in the sports complex, and $6 million was borrowed when we went to New York and refinanced everything we had and brought back, and the $1 million that was referenced was to pay off a loan that we had, which was the, pretty much the industrial property that we had never paid anything against it, had only paid principal. We included that into the bondage. But when we came back and there was a design done, that this council approved someone to do a design and hired a firm to do a design, which was Goodwin, Mills and Kendall. The design was presented, and then the council authorized putting it out for bid. And when it was put out for bid, to the best of my memory, it came back somewhat over $6 million, which was more money than what we had actually borrowed. Okay, so then, no, please let me finish.
But I want you to be accurate, Mayor, 'cause
I-
how did we get?
I was not into
CPM?
this conversation until you brought me in.
Well, you're the mayor, so naturally you're
But
in
the
it.
thing is, when we borrowed the $6 million, and the bid came in over $6 million, I sat down with Mr. Greer, sat down with the gentleman who had that bid, which was the lowest bid out of the whole thing, and said, wow, we can't do this. We can't build anything because we don't have any money. We don't have this much money. So the law lets you enter into a process called value engineering. So we took the thing and value engineered the bid that we had and the project that we had, which was still the sports complex baseball. And we engineered out of that close to $1 million. And that was our goal. When we were at the bond market, that we could build this thing for around $5 and have $1 million left to do some of these other projects that we wanted to do. But we came in, I think, about 5.2 was once we value engineered everything down. We pulled the maintenance building out of it because they had a tremendous markup on the maintenance building. That decided, okay, we can do this ourselves. We can get the slab done and get the building put up, and then we can finish it ourselves in-house and save a lot of money there. So in order to get down to where we are, that we had to cut some corners. We had to do some things that we really didn't want to do, but it was all brought back to the council. And even the windows that's in the press box up there, we had to change those windows and go to something else in order to keep getting the price down. And we were able to do that. But no, sir, I do not have the ability as the mayor to go change a contract, to go stop a contract. I can't do that. Only the council can do that, not the mayor. I'm sorry.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
my point was clearly a conceptual was given to us by CPM.
A what? A what?
A conceptual drawing, this document, was given to us by CPM, which clearly shows the football field. And it says replace existing lower baseball field with youth football field. Also, new baseball pod, facility fields, regulation high school styles. So this was given to us by CPM, which clearly says, or gave me the perception that there was going to be a little league football field built, which we've talked about numerous times. This is not new. So every time this came back to the council, certainly it was made known from me, what about the MLK? That's not new. This is not a new conversation. So I don't understand when you start saying value engineering, it seems like the Martin Luther King Center was just valued out of the project.
Councilman, we would not have any money to even be talking about building anything there because we would have no money. We would have been out of money.
Mayor,
So the value engineering is what allowed us to get it down to where we have this sum of money that we're talking about today. But then when the project began, I don't have it in front of me, somewhere there's a document that when Coach and Mr. Greer were working on this, this project the first time, there was an email sent telling us to stop work, cease work on this project.
I have it right here in my hand.
You have
I'm sure you
one?
did great, but let me
Okay,
tell you
now,
why,
wait a minute,
let me tell you why the
wait a
email
minute,
was
what I'm
sent.
talking about. You
Let me
brought
tell you
in
why
the-
the email was sent, because you
Okay.
didn't have any plans.
Okay, there you go again, there were no plans.
And why not?
Are there any plans now to do this?
Why not? That's the question that I'm trying to find tonight, Mayor. We paid someone $126,000 to do a job that they didn't do that. That's correct. Why not?
They did.
Why not, Mayor?
CPM, to my knowledge, did not design any portion of what we built, am I correct?
CPM was hired to oversee the design.
But not to design.
Mayor,
So,
you're playing, you're
who
playing semantics here.
Who authorized design? Council members, did you authorize the design for the sports complex project?
Yes.
Did you authorize a design?
No, we basically.
No, we did not.
The design changed. We started out with 2 pods, and then, of course, then we had to look at going back, and then one of the pods was just gonna have the infrastructure that was for.
If we had any money left.
And then we ended up with just 1 pod. Of course, we did, but of course, there's changes that had to be made, along with changes had to be made.
But, you know, I think everything was voted on in a proper way. I think the council, had the opportunity to, certainly CPM was here on numerous occasions, and their representative that came and spoke to the council, giving updates on what was going on. But they are not a design firm.
I never said they were.
They are strictly a management firm. If you don't have a design, you have nothing to manage.
So Mayor, why did you sign this contract with MLK to be included in the project? Why did you sign this if you're saying we didn't have money to do it? That should have been addressed at that time,
Money?
the contract. It should have been addressed at that time. You signed a contract that says Wetumpka Sports Complex / MLK Center, JW and TC. So why was that signed if you knew that money was the issue to complete the project?
He didn't know that at that time because none of the bids could land.
Yeah, those
We
bids
came
didn't
in
let
way
the time.
over, and if the contractor that we ended up contracting with had not worked with the city to value engineer, there would have been no money left for the Riverwalk. There'd been no money left for the MLK. because it came in way over what the estimates were to start off with. And there's no way that the council could have known that, or the mayor, or Tex, or anyone else, until you actually let those bids.
When we first started this, we borrowed the money because we were gonna build the fields. And
Which fields again?
the baseball and softball fields.
The
Second
softball was
part.
already built.
The baseball fields, the second part. And then we came, you requested that we put the MLK in the package. So we did. But the $6 million that we borrowed was in the beginning for the fields. And then, if that's what the mayor's saying, that's why we value engineers, so we would have some money left to do these things. And now, I know it's taking longer, but the county is helping us do it, and it's costing us like half the price, right?
So Kevin, just so you'll know, the mayor and I have had extensive conversations about the inclusion of the Dr. Martin King Center in terms of capital improvement upgrade. Even before I got elected to this council, this has been an ongoing conversation for years. So to now come back and say, oh, we have enough money to do the baseball fields, but we don't have enough money to do the MLK. How often is the black community going to be left out of something that is historically significant? And I made that very clear, very clear. This is not new. Not new to anybody. And it's embarrassing that we can find money for certain projects, but certain projects, oh, we just didn't have enough money, and we just discovered that. That's insulting.
The $6 million was originally borrowed for the fields.
Right.
We
And
were
so,
gonna do 2 pods. It came back, we couldn't afford 2 pods because it was gonna cost way too much money. So we did the 1 pod, and it was still gonna cost a good bit. So I thank the mayor for value engineering, like he said, so that we did have something left, because it looked like at the time, the 1 pod was gonna cost close to $6 million. And that's what we started with first.
well, we still added some type of building in there that was not a part of this as well. But we found a way to make that work. That's correct. We found a way to make that work.
Was maintenance not in there from the beginning?
No, it was not. You see it?
It was in there in the original bid, but it was pulled out through the value engineering. I think it was in there about $400,000.
But the maintenance building is complete right now. The money was found to build the maintenance building, correct?
No, sir.
So there's not a maintenance building there now?
The mansion building's there, but you said complete.
So, but it's practically complete. How far along is it?
Well, if you look at the information sheet you got on the money, you'll see what we got projected for the maintenance building.
How far along is the maintenance building?
It's got the building up, the pad has been made, landscaped basically, you got the build-in, which would be an office space or space there that hadn't been done, and you have the restrooms, of course, that hadn't been done.
So my point is, initially the maintenance building was there according to the mayor. It was taken out because of value engineering, but now it's back.
Not at the same price, though.
That's the
whole
idea of
thing.
It doesn't matter about the price, the point is that it's back. So the money was found to build the maintenance building. Why couldn't the money be found to complete the football field or anything on the MLK project?
Well, it's going to be, that's what they're working on right now, that's why they got the $600,000, they were able to save out the other project to be able to use for this. We still don't have a river walk either. I mean, this thing takes a while, and if you remember back in October, we had a meeting last October with the GMC, where they agreed to come in and do a comprehensive plan for the MLK. And you said that would be great, and that time you had thorough discussions with them as to what you wanted there.
Where is the plan?
And there was, my understanding is they did a plan.
Where is it?
But that plan came back when they priced the plan to us at $2 million.
Over $2 million.
Over $2 million was their plan for the football field, soccer fields.
No, sir, it was over something, wasn't it? They were
Almost 5 million.
over 4 with the, all of it.
So that's when you came back and said it was 645 of what you had left at that time. And then we turned around and pursued a Ripken Foundation grant. The coach has been chasing that grant, had very good success with it, very close, hopefully we'll close that grant out for another 600, that would take that 645 and turn it into $1.2 million that could then be spent on these projects. But right now, we're waiting on that to happen. We felt like the 600 would get us through the football fields and those 3 or 4 soccer fields and the concession stand and the lighting and the fencing. That we can do that. Hopefully, that will get us there. And we got the water line that you're dealing with waterworks about running the water line in, which is going to be a fairly expensive project there. But it's trying to take the dollar that we have and get the most value out of that dollar for the citizens of Wetumpka, for all the citizens of Wetumpka. And that is the same thing that we tried to do in the building of this first phase was softball, which is for all the young people in Wetumpka, blacks, whites, the high school teams, and also baseball, the same ones that we had playing in the old complex that was dilapidated, moved over to this one, which is for everyone. It's not for just one segment of people, it's for everyone. So will this next phase, this youth football and the soccer. It'll be for everyone. So it's not like, we spend this money trying to exclude anyone. It's just that, folks, if you don't have it, you can't spend it. And you can't. Now, we can go back. And I've explained this to Mr. King. To get to go back to the bond market, we need to get to May of 17 to go back to New York. And we're down there meeting in these buildings that have helicopters that land on top of them. This is the financial district. We go back in May of 17, we will be in a position to look at borrowing again $3 million. We will pay the debt down that we have. We took a debt that we owed. We owed roughly $6 million on an 8-year period at 5 and 6% interest. So when we went to New York, our presentation was, we want to borrow another $6 million that would run our debt to $12 million. Now, that's not the most debt Wetumpka has ever had. When I came into office, we were about $14 million, but we paid it down. Now, if we can go back in May of 17 and pick up $3 million, if the interest rates stay basically where they are, that'll give us $3 million. We'll add back, will take us back to roughly $12 million that we will owe again. But we will have basically the same payment. We won't be paying any more money than we're paying. We have a choice to go 13-year payback or go 11-year payback. We chose to go 11 years in order to get us in a position that we could go back in 3 years. So that's where we are. May of 17, when we get there and can go back to the market, then bring $3 million back, we can finish the projects that we want to do throughout this city. We can finish these projects right here. And it's like if you want that Cadillac or that Mercedes and you don't have the money to pay for it, you go to the bank and you get it financed. And that's exactly what we were doing. But we were at that low interest rate of 2 and 2.5%. So I have talked with the Merchants Capital that handles our bond issues. They said you'll be in a great position to go back. So people, it takes a plan. It takes a plan. This city did not have a plan for anything. And we were able to build and put together a plan, working with the council, to put together a plan to allow us to move forward and do this. A lot of good mayors have come, have been through here. And I don't care who you are, if you're the mayor, if you don't have the ability to go and find the money, you're dead in the water. You will not get anything done. And that's what normally has happened. We were fortunate enough to be able to go touch the money. This gentleman sitting right here, Mr. Byers, Mr. Byers is one who leads us through this MPO process, Metropolitan Planning Organization, where all the federal money comes into the river region. Until he got here, Montgomery hoarded up all this money. We didn't get it. It stopped in Montgomery and it didn't cross the river. It did not go across the river into Prattville, Watauga County, Millbrook, nor did it come to Wetumpka or Elmore County. Now that has changed. He actually is instrumental in helping us with this. I sit as the vice chairman of the MPO organization, which gives us the ability to deal with these people on a day-to-day basis. Very complicated process, but it works. And now he can tell you, Elmore County has gotten their fair share of money from MPO. We'd like to have more. Wetumpka would like to have more, but we get our share of that money now. So people, that's how it works. That's how it works. And we can sit here and argue and talk all day long till the cows come home. But if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a design, you can't build anything. And we, I'm not against anything that we're trying to do over there, or people want to have done over there. But you've got to get the funding in order to do it. And this city cannot go deeper in debt and get up. I think our limit is about $17 million that we can borrow, but we can't pay $17 million back. Not with other things that we try to do in this city. We have an 8% tax base. It's what we have. Everybody around us has a high tax base. Do you want to pay a high tax base? No. So we operate this city on 3 cents on the dollar. That's what we operate this city on. But here's the thing. Years ago, before 2008, when the economy was at its peak,